You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and I'm very excited to have our guest today from the Man Can Project himself, Lachlan Stuart, who I probably just messed up his name. Lachlan, thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Phil. That was an awesome intro, by the way.
Thank you. I spent big bucks doing it. That was me working like 5 hours on DaVinci Resolve, figuring out how to do all that crazy stuff. But Lachlan, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to learn more about the Man That Can Project and everything that you do on your journey here on Entrepreneur. But if you could just quickly introduce yourself to my audience.
Awesome. Well, firstly, thanks for having me on. So for myself, I'm a husband and an athlete and also entrepreneur. I've been in business or running my own business since 2014 now, so 9 years, but changed businesses along the way to sort of get more in control of what I want to do that's going to suit my lifestyle, and also, find that perfect storm between business and earning a living from it, but also something that gets me up every day excited to live my best life. And as you mentioned, I'm based down in Australia, so best part of Australia, I believe, in Brisbane, along the east coast. It's, we're in this beautiful, key area where we're, an hour from the Sunshine Coast, an hour from the Gold Coast, and then about an hour and a half to the bush if you want to go out to the bush as well. So it's like this perfect spot.
Yeah, like the perfect storm place to be for all you need. I want to start with the beginning. What was it that sparked your journey in this entrepreneurial world in 2014?
So prior to that, I was playing professional rugby. So I was playing over in France. And what led me to that point was I always had a belief that in order to be successful, where I'd shown promise was in sport, but I believed success would solve every other issue I had in my life. And my idea of success was having status and money, and the women would love me, my life would take care of itself. And what I experienced in France was when I moved overseas, pretty much to the other side of the world, that all the insecurities and issues that I was dealing with in Australia came with me. The money didn't solve it. The playing professional support or being at the elite level of what I wanted to achieve didn't change anything. I was still the same bloke. And when I finished up rugby, I came back and I was like, what's next for me? I didn't, get good grades I had all right grades actually, but I didn't want to do university or anything like that because I just wasn't passionate about it. And I didn't want to do a trade because I felt like at the time my belief system was I was better than that. I was destined to do something bigger. Mm-hmm. So it left me with a bit of downtime to think about what was next. But during that downtime, Phil, I spent a lot of time partying and doing what most people were doing that age. And I hit a rock bottom point. And fortunately, a guy I was just playing local rugby with at the time, he was someone I respected, was an England international. He gave me a book. And that book, Phil, I was like, well, if he's giving it to me, I'm going to read it. I'd never really read books before in my life, but reading that book was game-changing. Really the first book that I'd read with intention, and what I learned throughout that book changed my life and changed the way that I perceived myself and what I could, or the future that I could create for myself. Because once sport was finished for me, I didn't believe I had much value to offer in any other area because I'd never, I guess, excelled in that. And when you don't excel in an area, it's really hard to believe you can be good in it. And I didn't have people telling me I was good outside of that. But with that book, it challenged my thoughts, and I wanted to see what else I could challenge in my own mind. And I started seeking out information, reading books, attending seminars, listening to podcasts. And along the way, it was just like breaking a barrier. And I utilized Instagram back in the day to share what I was learning. So I was this dude who'd come from, inland Australia and was a terrible communicator, but I was like, look, social media is a great way that I can learn to write better because you can post a photo and then a caption. And then eventually the video came in and I was like, awesome, this is going to be a great way that I can get comfortable with the man in the mirror and learn to communicate better. And as a result of that, people started asking me for, I guess, perspectives on things, or asking me how I would overcome certain problems. And it sort of just went from one step to the next, because I still didn't know what I was going to do with my life in terms of career field. I was Uber driving. I'd done door-to-door sales. I was working as a laborer. I was doing everything until I figured out what was next. And I had this moment where people were saying, I'll pay you to help me. And I was like, dude, coaches are people who can't get a job, like a real job. More of a coach. And that went on for a while. And then eventually I was like, I must have listened to a podcast or someone said something. It's like, wouldn't it be cool to get paid to do what you're doing anyway? And then the penny dropped and I was like, that's a very good point. Why not get paid to do what you love and what you're doing anyway? And that's when I launched, I guess, coaching. I got into the coaching space and we started with men's groups, because for me, one thing that I really wish I had at an earlier date was access to men from all walks of life who were prepared to share, and when I say all walks of life, who were successful in multiple areas. So whether it's family life, with their health, in career or business, and have incredible lifestyles. But I wanted to hear from them not only what it took to achieve the success, but what went on in their head in order to get there. Because we always hear the success stories, but we never understand, I guess, the emotional stuff that happens, or the sacrifices and setbacks that, we go through, and we go, am I the only one who's experienced this? So I wanted that platform, and we ended up creating that, and it was a huge success. And I guess, as with all entrepreneurs, you go, all right, that's one problem solved. What's the next problem that this audience or these group of people that I'm working with are facing? And it's just evolved like that. But Phil, the best thing that happened from living in France, and sorry for the long-winded answer, but
it's perfect.
And then meeting my now wife. My now wife's a really successful musician. And I was inspired by the fact that she did whatever it took to create the life that she wanted to live, regardless of what people said or regardless of what challenges came her way. So I got, I guess, very focused on the fact that I wanted to work for myself, and I wanted to have, these key things. I never wanted to sacrifice my health, because I saw a lot of successful men who had dad bods and poor mental health. I never wanted to sacrifice that in order to create my new level, I guess, definition of success. The next one was connection was always going to be paramount, meaning the people that I hang around want to be there to build me up. I want them to challenge me on my beliefs to make me better. And I want to feel like a reciprocal relationship where we all feel valued and we all feel heard and understood. And so therefore, I'm not attached to specific people, right? Because a lot of people hang around the same people that they went to primary school with, and quite often you're growing apart, but you're still trying to hold on to what once was. Mm-hmm. And so that was, I became very mindful of that. And then finally was the freedom part. And freedom for me was, one, having the financial means to be able to do what I want to do, travel, etc. But also the flexibility, meaning I don't have to be stuck in a specific location to do what I do and to earn the income that I earn. And so every decision I've made ever since, I guess, that ultimate decision, Phil, has shaped the way that our company's gone. And every time we go, okay, what's the next solution we want to, or problem we want to try and solve, and how can we do that? I go, is it going to provide the freedom? Is it going to allow for the connection? And is it going to allow me to prioritize health? And if it ticks those boxes, then we're going to, seek to understand that opportunity a bit more. And that's where we are now. And that's started in 2017. That's when I launched my podcast as well.
So I just want to know, this book that was given to you, what is the name of it? Because it's apparently a life-changing book, and I don't want to keep it a secret. I want my audience to have this life-changing, and maybe me too. What is the book that changed your life?
The 4 Agreements.
Oh, yes. Last month, beginning of last month, I finished the audio book. So I didn't have the actual written. I had the audio book, and it's it is a very life-changing book.
It's interesting though. I think, Phil, if Tom gave me the book. If Tom had given me any book at that point, I would have read it, and it could have been any self-help book, and I think it would have shifted the way I think, because I do believe I was like, woe is me back then. Like, why is everything falling apart? I got given this opportunity. I stuffed that up. I cheated on my, all these things I did wrong. And I still didn't want to take responsibility. So I think any self-help book at that time would have changed my life, because the person that gave it to me, I had enough respect to go, look, if he's giving me this book, there's got to be something to it. Mm-hmm. And I believe for anyone listening, there is someone out there who respects you enough that if you were to give them a tool or recommend a podcast, for example, they would listen to it. And if it's around growth mindset, or could shift and challenge or change beliefs, you'll change their life with it.
Oh yeah. No, so my rock bottom was 2019, and it was, the end of it was the worst year of my life, but also the best, because I got to travel for the first time really in my life, left North America. But I picked up, it was actually, I was starting this show, and I got pitched a guest, a mutual friend of ours, Lloyd. His book actually started changing my life, because I was like, oh, well, this makes sense. And then it dropped to Tim Ferriss's 4 hours a week, 4 hours a week, or 4 hour workday. And from there, it's been heaven sent there. And so it's similar to how you had that rock bottom. You had the 4 agreements that changed your life. Books are so powerful. They're full of knowledge, but also they can help you understand stuff, because there's people who have done the work themselves to help you, guide you through it. What is the goal with the Man That Can project? Like, what do you want people to have when they go into this?
I just want, the original reason was I wanted men to stop taking their lives. That was the original goal, and it still is, but we've shifted, I guess, the language that we use around it and what the real intent is. I want men to be able to be as successful as they want to be in their career, but I don't want them to sacrifice their health, their relationships, and their lifestyle in the process. I feel there is a big belief that this hustle culture and everything that's happening in order to be successful, and people aren't even really that clear on what success looks like. They just were like I was when I was playing footy. It's like, if I achieve that level that everyone's watching you, all eyes are on you, and you earn a good amount of money, then life's taken care of. But many people, and I would talk to men specifically, are overweight, their relationships are falling apart, and they don't have any hobbies outside of work. Now, that can be, for most people, it's a bad thing, but for some people, if that's what you want and you're happy to sacrifice your health and your relationships and your lifestyle, then that's what lights you up. Awesome. But for the majority of men, they go home, they don't have enough energy and vitality to hang out with their kids. They want to feel an intimate relationship where they feel valued and heard, and someone that they love. That's non-existent. And like I said, their relationship with their mates is probably just going down to the pub. They don't do things that they used to do, like going to kick the footy or have other hobbies that regenerates and fulfills them to keep them motivated to continue doing why they're doing what they're doing. So for me, the goal is to continue having that impact and that ripple effect, because, when I get messages from the wives or children of the men that we're working with, where it's like, you've completely shifted how such and such, Johnny comes home now, he's leaving work at work and he's coming home being a present father. We're doing date nights again. Like, for me, that's what it's about, because you can lose your life in an instant. Like tomorrow I could get hit, it's going morbid, but I can get hit by a bus tomorrow. So why am I waiting until I have all the money and all the success that I think I need in order to live my life like that? You don't need to do that. The work starts now by managing your time and actually putting things in your diary or in your calendar to improve those areas that are important to you. Like if you want to go for a surf at lunchtime, Phil, go for a bloody surf, put it in your calendar. If you want to, improve your relationship, show me the time in your calendar where you're investing in your relationship. If you want to be a better dad, once again, show me the time in your calendar where you're investing in those things. Most people aren't doing it. We schedule work hours because we know 9 till 5 for most people, we're at work. Or what's happening in the hours outside of that is non-existent, or it's not really tracked and managed. And I think that's where entrepreneurs have an advantage, because most of us are doing things outside of that 9 to 5, if, especially in that startup phase, Phil. But that's when, if we're mindful enough and go, look, I'm working my normal job, I'm also working on my side hustle or whatever that looks like. What else is important to me that I can put in the hours outside of it? And we just start building this beautiful schedule where we're managing our time and making sure that we give time to the things that are important to us and we want to take with us on this journey of creating a life.
I can't agree with. I can't. There's nothing I can say against that. I'm blah, blah, blah. As a podcaster, I'm supposed to have the words, and I don't have the words. But yeah, no, it's I. As you were talking, I'm going back in my head, reliving what I was doing before my mental break in 2020 to where I am today, and the giant shift by holding myself accountable, taking away the woe is me, and putting in the hours and scheduling. Like I share my schedule with my family all the time, and it's all color coded, so I know exactly, because just trying to read it quickly I can, but knowing the colors of what they are, and words are failing. This is why I should not be a podcaster. No.
Well, mate, to be fair, we were talking off air, like you've done a lot of podcasts over the last couple of weeks. I was saying to you, I'm like, man, I'm actually blown away how you keep doing it. I do, 1 to 2 podcasts a week, and my brain is fried. Like, it's hard work to have an intentional conversation.
Yes.
So you're kicking ass.
Thank you. Here, let's just get back to the basics. Simple. You brought up some of the joys that you get from helping these men are the messages you receive from their partners, from their children. Do you have a memory where one of the members, one of the guys that you helped, came to you and like made it so solidified why you do what you do? Like, it was like when someone asks you, so why do you do what you do? And this kind of memory pops up, or the story of this guy pops up.
Man, there's so many. There would be a beautiful one from Michael. His wife actually messages me every 6 months, because he's been part of our academy for just over 2 years, and we've done work one-on-one together and stuff. And it's completely like, this guy now runs a monster company in mining. Like, he didn't have that company back then. He was really overweight, and he never had time for his family. And he's changed all of those things. So his wife just loves to shoot me a message every now and then, just to remind me of the fact that, and look, I didn't do the work for him. He did the work, so the credit's completely on him. But where I helped him was, we obviously had this pinball conversation where it's like, every time he resisted change or didn't like the idea that you could build a business or set yourself up financially and have the relationship and have the time with your kids and have great health, every time he challenged that, I pushed back harder. And now the fact that if my phone wasn't holding the camera here, I would get write the message. But she shot me a message again last week, and I always send them to my wife, because my wife still doesn't really know what I do. But
she has an idea. My partner doesn't know what I do, and she sits sometimes, watches me, and she's like, all you do is talk. I'm like, no, there's more to it. But yes, okay, basically, yes, I talk.
It's intentional talking. There's meaning behind it. But the impact that now their kids actually get their dad back, and he's involved in their football club. He spends an hour a week with each kid. Like, you can't, there's not many parents that I know that put an hour a week for each child in their calendar just to do whatever their child wants to do. And for me, the fact that, their kids are 8, 9, and 12, roughly, somewhere around that, like those kids are going to have a present dad, and the impact of having a dad in your life, the statistics around that is huge. So whenever I hear that, I'm like, if I have a new client roll in or someone roll into our academy and they challenge me on it saying it's not possible, I've got to do X, Y, and Z, I'm like, okay, there are times in business where you have to go all in, right? Your focus has to be all in on that, but that is not sustainable. So I'm going to challenge you on that to go, let's start doing the things that are important to you right now, and you're going to build that into success, because as you know, Phil, the more successful you become, the more people that want your time, the more you need to say no to, okay? But it's also harder to unlearn habits, right? So if your habit in order to achieving success has been working 20-hour days, neglecting your family, neglecting all the things that I've spoken about, how hard do you feel it's going to be to implement those things in there? It's hard. I have a client who runs a $1 billion company, and he's living proof that it's hard, because we're having the same conversations, and I'm like, dude, been telling you for 3 years now, we need to just take that holiday. We need to get the gym going during the lunchtime, because you have more resources available to you than most people. So it's not the resources that are available to you that are holding you back. It's the decision that you're not allocating your own time. So let's start there.
Yeah, if you have $1 billion company and you can't find time, like 15 minutes to go to the gym and work out, like you can literally have it built into your office, and you just walk over. You could have a walking machine as your desk. Like, yeah, so it obviously, like you said, it's not the resources that's stopping, it's the decision. And with the people that you work with the men that you work with, and when they are pushing back, do you bring in the reference? Because men will push back, because that's what we do. We're very stubborn at trying.
Yeah.
Do you reference your previous clients, like this guy who has $1 billion company, or the guy, the gentleman you just talked about, whose wife is messaging you and has a present, who set up the time for his kids? Do you reference them in those conversations?
Yeah, sometimes I even connect them, because once again, like being in business, it can feel, or you can definitely feel like people don't understand what you're going through. But the reality is there's a lot of people who understand what you're going through. And when you can connect people, and for me, I can share a story and that's awesome, but what's more impactful is connecting the person. Then they get to have a conversation and go, shit, it wasn't lying, and this person's now on a WhatsApp message with me or whatever. And they can also add that third party validation, but also challenge them as well. So now you've got two people challenging someone on the beliefs that are holding them back from creating the life that they want. So it's definitely something that I always, stories are one of the greatest way to influence change and challenge people's beliefs. But at the end of the day as well, it's just, for me, it's like I get them to take an action right away. Like regardless of how big or small it may be, it's like they have to leave the phone call or the meeting or whatever it is with an action step that they are getting done that day. Because there's a lot of people who read every book under the sun, listen to every podcast under the sun, and love paying coaches for things, but still don't do the work. They still don't do it. And the only way you're going to change anything is by doing it, regardless of the size of the step. You got to take it. And so for me, when they push back, it's like I'm going, okay, well, what's the level of resistance here? And what potentially could be influencing why this person doesn't want to take the step? So you mentioned something great before, Phil, where you were saying, 15 minutes, right? A lot of people assume that if they're going to exercise, it has to be an hour. It doesn't have to be an hour. I could say to you, Phil, drop and give me 30 push-ups right now. Your exercise is done for the day.
Please don't, because I am a little tired. It's been a long day. I don't want to embarrass myself while recording.
Yeah. But it's moments like that, because we often are focused on what we, these beliefs around what has to happen in order to achieve success, rather than the focus could be, we're just building a habit of exercise for the moment. We don't care what the exercise is or how the duration. We're just looking for frequency. And if it means you're doing 30 push-ups a day for 30 days and then we'll reassess, let's start there. Or if it means having, a 5-minute conversation with your wife as soon as you walk in the door before you do anything else, then let's start there.
Yeah, it's so for me, I always thought to lose weight, I had to be at the gym, do a good hardcore 30-minute workout, and that's not sustainable because I had no motivation because I have to go to the gym, and I know how much work it's going to be, how much I'm going to sweat, and at the end of 2020, I was 300 pounds.
Really?
I know, sorry, at the end of 2019, I was 300 pounds. As of, I want to say the beginning of April, I'm down to 200 pounds. I'm just under 200 pounds now. My goal has always been to be under 200, so I'm very happy.
Well done.
Thank you. And all I did was walking. It was just walking and intermittent fasting, but it's the consistency. Every day I went for a 45-minute walk because walking's easy. Walking's the easiest thing. It's like, okay, I'm not going to take the bus downtown. I'm going to walk, which is a 30-minute walk. So it's like I got those 45-minute walks in, and yeah. During the summer, it was hard. I can tell you that much. It was the shirts were completely soaked, but I have no pants that fit, so it's very tight belts for the belts. But yeah, no, it's consistency. Like you said, it's that consistent effort, putting in day after day. Small little things compound into huge changes over time.
And well done, firstly. Like that's phenomenal, 100 pounds down. But you touched on the one thing that's really important is the motivation. People wait to be motivated to do anything. And you mentioned you had a rock bottom period in 2019. I mentioned I had one in 2014. And I always ask myself the question, do we need to have these rock bottom moments to encourage change? And quite often, you hear of success stories where it is a rock bottom period, but wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to hit a rock bottom moment to start creating the change that we want, meaning to start getting motivated to do things in our life? And Tony Robbins, or there's many Jim Rohn, there's so many people that talk about the pain and pleasure principle around, like, they're the two things that really motivate us when we get clear on it. And for me now, like, I live a very good life, Phil, where I definitely have moments of complacency and I don't feel like I hustle as much as I used to because I've created the life that I wanted to. But I still go searching for pain in my life to get my ass, it's Good Friday here today. I still work. And I love working. And I work anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day, every day. I just love it. But I still have great balance doing other things. But what makes me want to do this on days that I could have off is, like, I've got a big ambitious goal where I want to pay for all my family's things, etc. And the pain that they're not living a good life like I am is the reason why I get up and get going. Now, it's not directly impacting me. It's something that I've created to motivate myself. And I think people wait till there's like enough pain in their own life to do things. But it's like most people's lives are moderately good, especially if you're living in like Australia or Canada or many, many places in the US. Like, your life's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's not bad enough that you want to create change. But if you're listening to a podcast like this, Phil, you're probably someone who's got some level of ambition, but maybe you're, lacking in their action department. So where can you create some pain, or where can you focus on some pleasure to get your ass into gear?
It's true. No, and for me, because I'm not a big fan of actually working out, doing that whole push-ups, sit-ups and all that, I make it as a punishment if I don't get tasks done. So if I don't get the tasks done, I have to do the workout. So I get that workout. And if I get the task done, I avoid the pain of working out. So it's that reverse engineering the pain pleasure aspect, because instead of being, if I don't get the work done, I don't get the money, I don't get to live the life I want, I'm putting the pain much closer because I can, it's in the future. The life I want is in the future. No, the pain's like right now. Don't do the sit-ups or planking for 60 minutes, So yeah, no, I like that, continually searching for that pain to keep your the drive forward so you don't get too complacent in life. Lackey, we're getting close to the end here. We're asking the spark question, the spark conversation between strangers. What is one thing you would never want to change about yourself?
Ooh, that is a fantastic question. One thing I would never want to change about myself. Probably my desire to be better. Like, I see a psychologist every month, Phil, and I've seen multiple psychologists, and they sometimes allude to the fact that that's a bad thing. And sometimes I agree with them, sometimes I don't. But I feel I love that I have many metrics that I'm measuring in terms of what success looks like. And it's not just financially, it's with my relationships, with my health, with my time with my mates, my ability to understand and deal with my emotions, and, so many things. And that then allows me to have so many opportunities to be a little bit better every day. And I think that's also probably falls into the last question around why I love to do so much and network so much and work so much, is because I feel like there's always something I can be doing to be better, because we're a role model for, I don't have children yet, but we will have children. And I want to be a good role model through the actions that I take. And I want to be a great role model for those who are looking for role models, much like myself or yourself. And I know that those 1%ers, so that drive, going back to answer your question, the drive to always be better.
No, I love how that one question sparked a major, longer conversation, and we're definitely going to touch on it again when you come back on the show, Lachie, in like a year or two, because I always like to have my guests come back and share updates and what they're doing. So I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to let my audience know where they can connect with you, how they can become a part of the Man That Can project, and where they can listen to your podcast.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. So, for me, the most important thing, obviously, in the work we do, we're a lot about community and vibe. So if you feel like the way that I talk is a good fit, or you're still curious about that, go listen to the podcast. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, all the main platforms. And from that, if you feel like the way that I talk about things and my perspective on things resonates with you, you can head over to our website, themanthatcanproject.com, and you can find out the ways that we work together. But the main thing is always head to the podcast, because there's no point, especially in the coaching space, working with someone that you think's an idiot, or you don't really gravitate to the way that they do things. So use that podcast as a resource. And if you feel good about that, then head to the website.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to get to listen to a few more episodes, Lachie, because just talking with you and connecting with you here has made a great change in my life. And I'm looking forward to where that friendship and collaboration can go. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Phil, and keep doing the great work that you're up to.
Thank you.
100 million podcasts, brother.
Yes. To my audience, you know where you need to check out the show notes, connect with Lachie, check out the podcast, his website, everything like that. See if he's someone that can help you become a better version of yourself and strive for the balance we're all looking for. And always remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.